Meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge and also the invitation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening for this time to do the business of the city of Goddard. We just pray your continued blessing and leading us as we work to make this a better place and a better community. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Do I have a second? Any seconds? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item B, citizen comments. This is an opportunity for community to speak to us. It's not a dialogue. We'll listen. I'm guessing that there are some of you here about taxes and special assessments. And I might mention, if you want to talk to someone, probably the best person to talk to would be our city administrator or our community development director, Micah Scoggins. Micah's over here too. So afterwards, if you still have questions and want to talk to someone, those would be the two people to talk to. We're cognizant of the fact that those notices go out. There's a process. It might not be the best process in the world, but that's kind of the way things go. Things end up on temporary notes, get built out, and then once the developments are built out, then this process we go through, moving those temporary notes and dividing that up on the individual homeowner. So I know that's an issue, and there's always questions when we go through this. So we just want to be sensitive to that. But sometimes people get upset when we don't respond to questions, but we're not going to answer questions. We're here to listen at this point. So I will go ahead and open citizen comments, and whoever wants to be first, come up. If not, you can be second. So.
I'm Linda Giesman, and I live at 201 North Pine, and as those who are before me realize, that my road is being resurfaced. Thank you. We ran into a situation where they finished all of Pine Street except for one block, one half of the road, which is right in front of my house. Then the rains came, so they couldn't come back. So after it dried out, they didn't come at 7 like they had been. So at 8 I called just to find out, update on what to expect. Even spoke with the gentleman at the office supervisor, and very kind, and he said yes, we had an emergency happen, so we had to stop. I said that's fine, I understand how that happens, but do you know when they'll be back? Today. I said, well, it's after 8, and I'm usually here at 7. He said, well, I'll find out what's going on. 15 minutes later, I get a knock on my door. One of the crew, I'm assuming supervisor of the crew, is knocking on my door to let me know, we're here. If you need to move a vehicle, now's the time to do it, because we're going to get started again and fill this in for you. That's why I appreciate that. I just want to let you know that APAC has been a good company. They were very quick and very informational to me, just to let me know. And so you did a good job in picking APAC. My interaction with them was very pleasant, and thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
And you do know they plan to put another layer of asphalt down, so they're not quite finished yet.
Yes, I realize, yeah.
Alright,
And I was told to wait for that, because the piping people have to come in.
That's right.
And I appreciate the fact that they're not gonna ruin the new street with the equipment for piping.
Very good, thanks. Okay. In the baseball world, it'd be next batter. I don't know what they do for soccer. I guess hold up your card number and you can come up and come forward. If not, we'll go ahead and close citizen comments and move on. Item E on the agenda, this is a chance for us to identify any conflicts of interest that we might have with the items on tonight's agenda. Any conflicts? Nobody's talked to anybody about anything that's on the agenda. Good. We'll move on to item F, recognitions. And Danny, will let you do it first.
Good evening. I am here. Goodness. Okay, I am here on behalf of Neighbors United. So before we recognize a few outstanding individuals, I would like to take a moment to thank the incredible community partners who have stood beside this mission year after year. Pathway Church, Ace Hardware, Goddard Public Schools, the Goddard Lions Club, Goddard Community Garden. I don't know why I put Goddard between all of these guys. I just Goddard. The Goddard Women's Club, the Goddard Scouts organizations, and many other businesses, churches, organizations, and volunteers who have helped make Neighbors United possible each year. This event has always been about neighbors serving neighbors, and every one of you has played a part in writing the story of Neighbors United over the past 10 years. Tonight, we are honored to recognize two individuals whose dedication, creativity, and servant leadership played a tremendous role in the success of the 10th anniversary of Neighbors United. Brandon Johnson and Riley Shannon, can I have you stand, please? You can stand where you are, or you can stand up here. It is your choice. Okay. Behind the scenes, Brandon and Riley took on countless responsibilities to ensure every detail came together. Brandon brought this milestone to life by designing the official 10th anniversary logo and Neighbors United shirts this year. He also jumped in wherever he was needed, helping update the spreadsheets, forms, and countless behind-the-scenes details that kept the event moving smoothly the day of. Riley's organization and attention to detail helped keep every moving piece on track. Through volunteer coordination, event logistics, planning, and sponsorship efforts, she provided the structure that allowed the event to run smoothly. Together, they recruited volunteers, retained sponsors, organized projects, created promotional materials, and spent months preparing for the event. When event day arrived, they were, needless to say, everywhere. Traveling from project to project, capturing photos of the smiling faces on people, directing volunteers, solving problems, and making sure every team had the support they needed that day. The best leaders are often the ones working quietly behind the scenes. Brandon and Riley exemplified servant leadership through their teamwork, dedication, and willingness to step in whenever they were needed. On behalf of the City of Goddard, thank you, Brandon and Riley, for your passion, countless hours of service, and unwavering commitment to making our community a better place. Congratulations, and thank you for helping make the 10th anniversary of Neighbors United such a remarkable success. Thank you again so much for the opportunity of a lifetime. We will take pictures, and if families want to get in these photos, you're more than welcome. I will get you guys a photo up at the podium.
Now, on the last day of school, there were a group of high school seniors that came here, and Naomi and I visited with them. One of the things they said about Riley is that she'll someday be the mayor of Goddard. So yeah, she's already starting to get down the path of taking my job. So, and I'll gladly let her have it.
Do we want an individual photo with them too?
I'll take this one, I'll get out of the way.
Everybody say cheese. Alright, and then we'll do these two.
There you go.
There you go. And do we want individual photos with Mayor, or are we good?
It's your shirt.
I don't carry the weight. Do you guys carry the weight?
Sorry.
Okay. you guys don't know, we will have it. Do you guys want any more photos? Did you even tell?
I did.
Danny, would you like to come up and say a little bit?
And we were all so much younger in that picture. Good evening, everyone. Mayor, council members, city administration. It's truly an honor to be here tonight to recognize a group of people who represent the very best of what it means to serve others. While Neighbors United is known as a single day where our community comes together to complete projects, the truth is that this event is built through months of planning, countless meetings, generous partnerships, and people who choose to put the needs of others above themselves. I've had the privilege of serving in a leadership role with Neighbors United for the past 10 years. And every year I leave with the same reminder. Communities don't become great by accident. They become great because ordinary people choose to do extraordinary things for one another. I'd first like to recognize Riley. Danny, you had some great words, so I'm going to add a few more. Riley, your leadership throughout this entire process was remarkable. You kept our meetings focused, stepped into every gap that needed to be filled, secured sponsorships, and worked alongside community leaders with a level of professionalism and maturity far beyond your years. And more importantly, you led with a servant's heart. Your passion for helping others inspired everyone around you, and our community is stronger because of your leadership. I'm incredibly grateful to continue working alongside you next year in community relations. If you see that, okay, she's done. She's gonna get it. Put you on the spot there. Brandon, thanks for bringing your creativity, vision, and energy to Neighbors United. From redesigning our logo to producing videos and strengthening our marketing, you helped tell the story of what this event means to our community. But beyond your many talents, your humility and willingness to listen made you an exceptional leader. Working alongside Riley, the two of you represented the very best of Goddard Public Schools. As you begin your next chapter after graduation, I know that you've left a lasting legacy here in Goddard. Danny, where'd you go? I'm just running around there. You got some nice things to say about you too. This was your first year leading Neighbors United from beginning to end. And what an incredible job you did. Coordinating so many meetings, personalities, details, volunteers, and moving pieces is no small task. But through it all, you remained organized, steady, and focused on the common good of our community. You helped carry us across the finish line, and this year's success simply would not have happened without your leadership. Finally, I'd like to thank you, Mayor, City Council members, City Administration. Your continued investment in Neighbors United says something powerful about the kind of community you're building. You're not simply funding an event, you're investing in a culture of service and leadership that will continue long after today's projects are complete. But more than 20 years ago, I volunteered at an event much like this. And at the end of the day, someone handed me a clipboard full of notes and simply said, "It's your turn." I never forgotten that moment because leadership is often passed from one person to another through trust, encouragement, and opportunity. And tonight, I see that same story unfolding again. Riley and Brandon represent the next generation of leaders for our community. Danny represents the dedicated professionals of all the city of Goddard who quietly make great things happen behind the scenes. Our city leadership continues to create opportunities for people to serve, to connect, and to believe in something bigger than themselves. It's easy to talk about how to make a community better, but it's much harder to roll up your sleeves and do the work. And that's where true leadership is found. And Neighbors United reminds us that every act of service matters, every volunteer matters, and every project matters, and every person who chooses to care makes our community stronger. My hope is from years from now, someone will be handed that proverbial clipboard with the opportunity of a lifetime because it's their turn. Because if we continue investing in one another the way we have in Goddard, the future of our community is incredibly bright. So thank you all for your leadership, your service, and for reminding us the best way to build a great community is to serve one another. Congratulations to each of you. Thank you.
Does everyone see how tall he is? There we go. Alright. Of course, Dane already knows, because his family, I feel, must have blown the secret, that tonight he is getting an award too. I know, Dane would be the first to say that Neighbors United isn't about trophies or awards. No one volunteers expecting recognition. As our friends at Pathway Church often remind us, this work is simply an expression of serving others. Tonight, however, we have the privilege of recognizing someone whose vision, leadership, and unwavering commitment helped turn an idea into one of Goddard's most meaningful community traditions. 10 years ago, Neighbors United began as a dream. That dream was championed by Dane Boxa, whose belief in bringing people together continues to shape our community today. When I first started with the city, Dane and I met within the first week. I'll never forget what he told me. I'll always be there for you. If you ever need anything or just need someone to bounce ideas off of, I'll be there. Now I just want to say these. Those were strong words. Little did he know at the time, but ideas are 80% of my conversations. So, needless to say, 100 calls and a billion ideas, trials and errors later, kidding of course, no though, I've learned those weren't just kind words. They're the way Dane leads. He invests in people because he knows strong communications are built by helping others succeed. Every year, Dane recruits students, just like Riley and Brandon, to be a part of Neighbors United, and he has an incredible ability to recognize strengths that they may not even see in themselves. Rather than asking people to fit into a role, he finds the role that fits them. He empowers others to bring new ideas, trusts them to make the event their own, and encourages them to become the leaders themselves. That's why Neighbors United has never been about one person. It's about neighbors serving neighbors. But every moment, every movement needs someone willing to take the first step. And 10 years ago, Dane was that person. His vision has inspired thousands of volunteer hours, hundreds of community projects, and generations of young leaders who now know they can make a difference because someone believed in them first. To me, that is Dane's greatest accomplishment. Neighbors United isn't measured by the projects completed in a single Saturday. It's measured by the lives it has impacted and the leaders it continues to develop. Dane, thank you for your vision, your leadership, and your unwavering belief in people. Thank you for investing in this community and for reminding all of us that the strongest communities are built by leaders who lift others up. On behalf of the City of Goddard and everyone whose lives you've touched over the past 10 years, congratulations. And thank you for giving so many people the opportunity of a lifetime.
I'm glad I already gave my speech, because now I cry. Okay, you guys go.
Have the kids bring their posters up and get with
Yeah.
you.
Riley and Brandon, come on, you're one of my kids too. Let's get it. Oh, you gotta hold that.
We actually kept it a secret. I didn't pretend to get one first.
Very nice. Very nice. I apologize for calling you out.
All right, Brandon and Riley, get in here. And the mayor, come on in. Come on in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Turn on the sun.
Everybody say cheese.
Danny, why don't you jump in with
Yeah, get in.
So,
My wife's name happens to be Danny too, so I knew we were going to connect.
oh goodness.
Just the family for you.
Sure, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, we'll move on to the second item under appointments recognitions, and that is the appointment of Christy Smith to our library board. I'm happy to make that nomination and appointment, but I'd like to give Carrie, if you and Christy would like to come up and say a few words about the library. You're all happy after that? I didn't want to fall under the deal either. Well, I know from what you said here, Christy, you had a lot of leadership opportunities through church, through law enforcement, and you have a desire to continue to serve and be involved with the community. We appreciate that. And the library is a vital part of our community and serves not only the city of Goddard, but also the greater Goddard School District. And we're appreciative of your willingness to serve. So I'll make a motion to approve Christy's position on the library board. Do we have a second?
I second.
Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
The fun just begins now.
Oh, yeah.
We really appreciate your willingness to serve.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving along here, keep this train rolling. Item G, consent agenda. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to read through the items here. And I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda for this evening. Have a second? Amanda seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. No unfinished business. New business. Public hearing on special assessments and ordinance. Mr. Bond Counsel Kevin Cowan. Is that the play? If anybody has a soccer story, you can just flash that to me. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Kevin.
George.
So as the mayor mentioned earlier, this is sort of the next step in the process the city frequently undertakes, which is the special assessment process for public infrastructure improvements. The background, as you all know, is that you have previously authorized the temporarily financed improvements, in this case to serve Harbor Creek Addition Phase 3 and Bridger at Maple Addition Phase 1. This was all done pursuant to petitions that were submitted to the city by 100% of the owners of the property at that time. And then the city council adopted authorizing resolutions pursuant to statute that spelled out, set forth in detail what those projects were, estimated costs, method of assessments, etc. The current proceedings are to continue the process for approving and imposing the special assessments on the properties that benefit from the particular improvements, and the issuance of general obligation bonds of the city, which is permanent financing to retire the general obligation temporary notes series 2023-3 and series 2024-1. And again, those were temporary notes, and this leads to permanent long-term financing with general obligation bonds. So this is sort of step 2 of the current process. Step 1 was at a meeting a few weeks ago where the city council had the final costs presented. Those final costs were based on invoices that the city paid. The finance director works closely with Brett Chogren, city's financial advisor, to total the costs on the various projects, all inclusive, construction, engineering, interest costs, other finance costs. So the statement of final costs was approved, and that's the amount that then gets assessed to the various properties in accordance with the petitions. Typically that's equally per lot. And so as part of that process, you also call for a public hearing on those assessments. And that hearing was called for tonight, July 6th. and you called for the giving of notice of that hearing. So there was a published notice and also a mailed notice to all of the property owners, at least the address known to the city and the county based on county records. So that's sort of getting us to this point, just following all the statutory steps. Sort of summarizing the projects again, water distribution, Arbor Creek Phase 3 references the resolution, the original resolution that authorized the improvements and the final cost of the improvements. I will add, one of the things we do when the final costs are totaled is we compare to the estimates that were originally included in the petitions and the resolutions to make sure those are consistent. You have a little bit of wiggle room. We didn't have to use any of that wiggle room this time, but if the estimate is within 10% of the actual costs from a due process statutory standpoint, you're okay. We like for it to be less than that number. In that regard, the estimates usually include a 1% per month inflation of that estimated cost from the date the petition is submitted, because you never know when that project's going to be bid, and so it recognizes it could be several months or even more than several months before the project is bid. So we compare all of those final cost figures to what was included in the petitions and resolutions to make sure, again, everything comports with what you originally approved. So project number 2, water main improvements for Arbor Creek Phase 3, final cost $74,857. Project 3, sanitary sewer for Arbor Creek Phase 3, final cost $158,000. And as you'll see, all of these are 100% assessed against the improvement district. Occasionally, I think we've talked about this, you have seen this, if there was a requirement of the city to oversize a line or something beyond what was necessary just for that area, but it was beneficial to the city for future development or other aspects in to your water utility and sewer utility system, you may see the city at large pick up a portion of the cost, but we don't have any of that on any of these projects. So paving improvements, Arbor Creek Phase 3, final cost $393,000, 100% assessed. Project 5, paving collector. So the collector improvements you see referenced are going to benefit a large area, not just sort of the individual street or water service line. It's maybe perhaps even broader than, say, Phase 3, and so when you see that reference, that's what we're talking about. So the paving collector improvements, final cost $296,000, 100% assessed, and we get into Bridger and Maple. Sanitary sewer, $864,000, 100% assessed. Stormwater drainage, $996,000, 100% assessed. Street improvements, $963,000, 100% assessed. And water line improvements, $683,000, 100% assessed. So as I referenced earlier, notice of hearing and both the hearing and the proposed assessments have been published and mailed to affected property owners. There will be a hearing tonight. After the hearing, you have an opportunity to pass an ordinance. If you pass the ordinance approving the assessment rule, then again, we'll have another publication, another mailing advising. Now you have an opportunity to prepay this in whole or in part. It'll be 30 days between tonight and August 6th. If not prepaid in whole or in part, that's when we get into the bond process and you issue bonds to cover those costs. So theoretically, if every property owner paid their assessment in full, you wouldn't have any bonds to be issued. You'd have a lot of cash, you pay off the temporary financing. If there aren't prepayments, by statute, you have to issue bonds to cover those costs. Those bonds will be payable in 20 installments. It's going to be over 21 years because we can't certify the specials until later this year after your budget cycle. So 20 years with a first principal payment starting in 2028. And assessments will be the same. 20 installments for those assessments with interest after bonds are sold. So That's a lot of background, recommendations and actions. Hold the public hearing, and as I referenced earlier, after the public hearing, you can consider an ordinance. This has been referenced before. The primary purpose of the hearing is to talk about whether this has been done properly or the calculations done in accordance with the original documents. As I said, we've spent a lot of time with the finance director working through these things and comparing back to the original documents. But that's not to say, you know, we may not miss something sometime and somebody says, hey, wait a minute, I'm included, and look, unlikely, but that's sort of the purpose of the hearing. Let's talk about this to make sure we get it right. So, I will stop there. If you have any questions, happy to address them. If not, you have the hearing, and maybe if there are questions after that,
All right,
I'm still available.
we'll get up here. Well, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. Just a second, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing, for the special assessments and moving the temporary nets, permit financing is open, so. Normally at this point, I would ask the people that are out in the hall if they want to come in, but there's no big hall. So. Anybody want to make comment at this point? Appreciate the opportunity. If not, we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Can I'm sorry. So I guess I'm part of the Bridger Maple.
Sure, yeah, one of those.
So I just, my name's Tara Burkhart. We moved in about a year ago. So we were given one week's notice of this situation, this special assessment. I think we got it in the mail on the 29th. I will tell you that I'm from Wichita. Spent 4 years in Wichita, originally from Colorado. So I'm a little bit hesitant to be up here because I'm trying to be informed and I'm trying to understand the difference in the way that this works with special assessments. It does not work this way in Colorado. Mainly because when you buy a new property, you pay a lot fee. So you really don't have, you're kind of paying that up front, I guess, in your, so for me to have seen this is, you know, burdens, and I just want to understand, and I know you guys can't comment, so I appreciate that. But I just want to understand how you guys are being good stewards of our tax dollars. And how, like, we're not even 75% built out there. And I couldn't even tell you how many renters are there, right? So I'm guessing that the developer is gonna cough up this money for all the ones he's renting out, I don't know. But for you to say 30 days, we're gonna pay you $29,125, I mean, I almost had to laugh at that. Obviously, most of us are not gonna be able to do that. We live in duplexes. I mean, there's a reason why we live there, right? I mean, the whole point of having these duplexes is so that people in our situation, like my daughter, who's 34 years old, has an opportunity to own. That's the point. And so it's very burdensome to get this in the mail and think that this is now going to be, not only are we going to pay $125 in HOAs, which I'm sure that will go up, you know, how it does, but now we're being asked basically to pay another $125 for the next 25 years a month for a special assessment that our builder never told us about. I mean, from what I just heard, this has been decided on way before I bought this property. So I'm just looking for somebody to help me understand why I can walk into this development and now realize that I'm stuck here in a way, because if I wanted to get out before 2028 when I'm assessed this, I have to tell somebody, oh, by the way, you're gonna owe $29,000 in special assessments and you have an HOA on a 1,200 square foot property. So I'm disappointed in the way that the process happened. I don't think a week is long enough for anybody to digest that. We haven't had time to even research what we're all talking about here. And not that anybody cares, but the builders left. Most of that property has stopped. Like, there's no construction. So it's almost like before we even started, the value of the property is being diminished because nothing's being done anymore. It's like, they've rented out so many properties, they haven't sold enough to get the bank to loan them enough money to build more properties. So now and I know none of that matters, but it just adds to the whole complexity of this daunting issue for me. So I appreciate the time, and if anybody knows me more that
No,
can help me, I would really appreciate it, because
That's why I said at the beginning of the meeting that it'd be a good idea for you to talk to our city administrator or talk to Micah, our public,
and I
community
agree with
development
that.
director.
I just want
I understand.
you guys to know that
Yeah.
I'm leaning on you because you get the decision ultimately to say what's gonna happen with this, with this ordinance or this special assessment. And I'm happy to talk to them and then have to explain it all to me, but ultimately, that doesn't help answer how you're going to be a good steward for somebody that's come into the city of Goddard, and make sure that, that we're well taken care of, and that we understand where our money's going, and that we wanna stay here. Because there's other options, obviously, in Goddard, and so I hope that's important. I don't know if it is. I will disclose that I work for the city of Wichita, so I very much understand how their processes work, and I know that they are very much trying to get trust back in their people, and because it's been broken. And I really hope that doesn't happen in the city of Goddard, because once it does, it's really, really hard to get it back. So, again, I appreciate the time.
Tara, when did you say you're buying it? I'm so sorry. How long have you lived there? When did you buy?
March of 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it, thank you. Okay, anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Naomi's made a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Naomi seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I guess I would just say that in terms of the timing of the notice, maybe it could have been sent out a week or two earlier, but the process that's in place here has been in place a long time, and I don't think any of us want anybody that's moving here to not understand when they're moving into a property that the cost of the streets and the water and the sewer and stuff are being handled this way. And I'm not gonna point fingers at anybody at this point for the lack of communication, but maybe it's something that we could do in addition to other people that should be providing that information. But with all the developments and things we have going on, I think sometimes this does occur where people haven't been informed, but I don't think that can stop us at this point for continuing kind of the practice that's been long-standing in the community. So, anybody else have any comments?
If I could make a brief comment.
Sure.
I look forward to an opportunity to visit with our citizen commentary about this matter, and we really don't get a lot of
these types of questions, except from folks who move here out of state, because special assessments are so commonly practiced in Kansas. Almost all new development in Kansas is financed with special assessments for these larger neighborhoods, but there's a legal obligation of the individuals who are facilitating these transactions to disclose the special assessments. Should be done by the realtor, should be done at the title company, all of that should be presented, and I think sometimes that doesn't happen the way it should, or it's confusing. And I think it's even confusing for those of us who live in this stuff, because it's a lot of paperwork to sift through when you're making that big financial decision. So, but one idea I think the city could consider is just getting these notices out earlier. There's sometimes a rush because we need to get these closed into permanent finance by a deadline. And sometimes the projects are ending at a weird time as it runs up against that deadline. But I think most commonly we should be able to give a little earlier notice than say a week or two. It's not going to change anything, but at least gives us an opportunity maybe to have a conversation with the property owner that has questions. There was, I know of one circumstance, and to give this too much deeper of a development that's been fully developed on the north side of our community, where the realtor actually faced litigation because they told a buyer that they did not have specials on the property when they actually did. So there are circumstances where that comes up, and as I was told this week, as I was reminded of this story, that realtor was on the hook for those costs.
Kristen, comments?
I apologize for the short notice of your renewal, but this is our process, and we have to fulfill it. And I guess, you know, Craig has said that we'll do what we can to make notices earlier and to sit down and maybe explain the whole process.
No, it's unfortunate that we didn't get the information sooner, and I'm really sorry about that. I think we do kind of lean on the realtors to make that call, but we'll do our part as a city, right, to make sure that we get those notices out.
Yeah, I mean, I would just, there's a bunch of us here, and so I don't know what to talk about.
We really do care, and we're really sorry that.
I mean, I would just like to have you see how many of us were told by our realtor that the number that was coming. Because what I saw was they should have clearly known. And so it's important, right, to know, because somebody should be accountable, because that could decide whether or not you could afford to live in a property. That's all I'm saying, and my daughter says I have to be quiet, because I embarrass her constantly, but I just think it's just important that you know, like, that's just why we're here, because nobody told us.
It is important that you know. It is important that you're told up front.
Any other comments from
Terry, you made a comment about wondering, how we felt about this or if we cared, and I just want to assure you that we do. I think sometimes these are tough situations because I think at the end of the day, we have to follow procedure. However, maybe a little unorthodox, but I'm just curious, just by a show of hands, how many of you did not know from your realtor about the special assessment? I am going to lean on city staff to maybe see if you all had different realtors, the same realtor, just kind of what that looked like. I would be curious on a follow-up on that. I think at the end of the day, what makes this so tough is that you were not notified properly when buying this property, and I wish in that piece that there was something different that we could do about that, because I agree, $29,000 is not,
Hello.
yeah, we're not asking you to spend a couple
Can I share
hundred.
one more snippet of information? And I can't speak for everybody here, but our realtor is married to the builder. So the builder definitely knew. So do you understand why at the core of my being, I want to look at them and say, seriously? You seriously did that to us after both of the builder and the realtor? Can you imagine the amount of money they made? Because they're both it's kinda like double dipping. And they couldn't even have the courtesy to tell us something that you guys have known for 2 years?
I definitely,
I just think we just need to be careful.
yeah,
about
I just wanna
weighing
reiterate that
in
I
on
would
it.
just like to lean on the city staff
I mean,
to,
we
And I appreciate
sympathize,
that, I just
sympathize.
wanted
We
you
really
guys
don't
to know
have-
so you weren't like
But we don't wanna
hunting
all of a
around.
sudden say
Yeah.
something that might
Absolutely.
get us in legal
but
jeopardy.
I
too.
just kinda wanted to follow up that you asked if we cared, and I have no doubt that every single person up here does, and we feel for you, and this is not, I acknowledge that this is not a small amount of money, and we're very sorry for the way that this has played out for you.
I appreciate that.
Okay, with that being said, we should consider the ordinance here, so.
I'll make the motion to waive the reading of the ordinance and place the ordinance into the official record as presented.
We have a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance. A second. Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item B.
Wait, just do a roll call. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
We made the motion to waive the reading of the ordinance. Now we need a motion to consider the ordinance.
Make a motion to consider the ordinance.
And we've made a motion to have a second.
I second.
Krista seconds. Now we have a roll call.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard.
Yes.
The ordinance 1049.
1049. Thank you. Get back up to speed here. Chief Financial Officer, Carol, at the place.
Item I2, notice of revenue neutral rate intent. So this is the point in time where we talk about revenue neutral rate and whether or not we're going to exceed revenue neutral rate and notify the county. So just a little bit of background as a reminder. The revenue neutral rate, R&R, is the mill levy required to generate the same amount of property tax revenue as the prior year. The revenue neutral rate also excludes revenue from new growth. Because property values increased in 2026, the city R&R has decreased. So as you recall from our budget workshops, our valuation went up about 8.34%. Any mill levy above the R&R generates additional property tax revenue and requires a public hearing under Kansas law. So a breakdown of our assessed valuation and kind of where we landed with our revenue neutral rate. Our total assessed valuation was $94,554,000, and again, like I said, that was about an 8.34% increase from last year. That equated to a revenue neutral rate of 36.274 mils. Currently, the mill levy is set at 39.299 mils, which is a difference of about 3.025 mils. So this equates to 1 mil on the 2027 valuation generates approximately $94,000 in property tax revenue. And the current mill levy is above the R&R, like I mentioned, 3.25 mils. This represents approximately $286,526 in additional property tax revenue above the revenue neutral rate. Some things to remember when we're talking about revenue neutral rate. Revenue neutral rate does not necessarily mean a revenue neutral tax bill. That's something that should be considered and important to remember. What the R&R does, it limits the city's total property tax revenue to the same amount collected as prior year, as I've already said, and does not allow the city to take in additional revenue from the new construction or additional valuation. This does not guarantee that every homeowner's tax bill stays the same. What does determine your tax bill is your home's appraised value and how it changed compared to the prior year, the city's mill levy, and other taxing jurisdictions. So a year-over-year tax savings is not guaranteed when the city adopts revenue neutral rate. So again, if valuations are different, in different properties, those are going to be, that's going to affect the R&R and the overall taxes, differently. As an example, I have here, the impact of revenue neutral rate, on a $270,000 home. Let's just say, for instance, this appraisal went up 4.5%. We can see how this would work through based on R&R and our proposed mill levy. So the appraised value, if it went up 4.5%, your new appraised value would be $282,000. The residential assessment rate is still the same, 11.5%, and the assessed value would be the same. The mill levies, however, compute through to city property taxes at R&R would be $1,176. That is a decrease from the prior year, about $43, or $3.65 per month. And then the proposed levy, if we had it at 39.299 and we exceeded R&R, you would be seeing a tax bill of $1,274, which would be an increase from prior year of $54. So this is just one example, based on a 4.5% increase in appraised value. All of this I've mentioned before. The financial considerations, again, 1 mil is equivalent to about $94,000 of property taxes. The city's adopted 39.299 mils, 3.025 above that, and that above the 36.274. The 3.205 additional mils generates approximately $286,000 of property tax. Legal considerations: to retain the option of exceeding R&R, the city must comply with these statutes and provide a notice of intent to the county by July 20th, 2026. So, as I mentioned in our budget workshops, this is the option to retain that option to exceed R&R all the way up until our budget hearing, which will be set on September 8th. If we do not choose to do that today, that would not allow us to do that going forward. We would have to retain R&R all the way up until then. Recommendations and actions. Staff recommend that the City Council move to authorize staff to submit the notice of intent to exceed revenue neutral rate to the Sedgwick County Clerk.
I think it's important to mention that 3 years ago when we started the street program, we had kind of projected raising the mill levy. We did 6 and we did 2 last year. But in our discussions this year, we're not going to do that. We're going to stay where we are and not increase and use other sources of funds to continue to cover for the street program that we're doing. And that we're in our 2nd year of it, 5 and 5. So because of the 3 pedals, we've found significant savings in some insurance areas, some other processing areas. We've raised the fees on developers, and then the growth of the community. As we continue to grow, those 3 factors are generating additional revenue, so we're not in the position where we have to go ahead and exceed and raise the 2 mills, but our intention is to hold at the 39. So is that kind of what we've decided, I think, through the budget process, that's what we determined.
Yes.
So, any other comments, Corey? Do you have anything else to add?
Just that I know these notices are going out and it confuses some people, but just because we're planning to exceed the revenue neutral rate doesn't mean we're raising the taxes.
Okay, anybody else? You good? Make a motion to get this thing moving here.
I make a motion to authorize staff to submit the notice of intent to exceed revenue neutral rate to the Sedgwick County Clerk.
Chris has made the motion.
I second.
Corey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, Craig Crossley, your city manager, here to co-present this item with Chief Eagley, the Justice Center, also known as Police Station, Preliminary Design and Staffing Study Services. So you guys probably remember 2024, 2025, we did some capital improvement programming, our 10-year CIP. We adopted that last year, and at the time we did a facility study to kind of figure out what our facility needs would be for the next 10 years. And for the projects that we saw coming most immediately, we tried to be as accurate as we could with projecting what those costs might be, the size of the facility, et cetera. At the time, the police station was a little further out, and so during that facilities study process, we put together pretty much everything that we feel like we needed to have, and the budgetary figure was quite high. So what we need to do, if we still intend to do full architectural design and those types of things in 2027 with an intention to build this project in 2028 or at least start construction, we would like to refine the building program and the floor plan to fit this into a more phase 1 or a 25-year size building, and we want it to be designed with an ability to expand on it after that 25-year mark. So really trying to live within our means in that regard. To try to better hit that target as far as what the size of the facility needs to be, staff has solicited a proposal from McGrath Consulting Services. They're a human resource firm, consultant that specializes in working with municipalities, and they have a section of their organization that specializes in public safety, so fire, EMS, police predominantly, and detention facilities and the like. So this is a two-part request from the city staff to the governing body. One, we would like you to consider approving a proposal with Hutton Design Build, who's teamed up with Goldberg to provide the additional floor plan and building program design. They were one of 3 vendors that we requested to submit a proposal to us. The Hutton Goldberg team is the low cost by a pretty wide margin, but primarily we like the fact that they're teaming up with Goldberg, which is a firm that has a really broad portfolio of public safety buildings that they have done. We included that in your agenda packet. So that plus the staffing study services with McGrath, we're going to kind of run those on 2 separate streams, but they will work together. And the goal is that around the end of this year, we will take everything from these 2 proposals, and it will assist us in advertising a request for cost and qualification, seeking an architectural team who will do the full-blown design and architectural and engineering services for the police station, with which we hope to be building, to start building, I should say, by sometime in 2028. So that may seem far away for some, but the planning we've got to start now for projects of this size. So I kind of summarized all of my all of my slides with that. So there's 2 recommendations here. One is to select Hutton in the partnership with Goldberg, and then to approve the proposal with McGrath. So at this point, Chief, if there's anything you'd like to add, feel free, and Chief and I will take questions as well.
I don't think so, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Other than the obvious, we need to get you moved out of that crowd.
Yeah, I was curious on the Hutton bid I saw, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. I didn't see about how long do you think the McGrath piece will take?
In our discovery meeting with them, we told them that we needed this to be a 90-day process, and they said they could accommodate that. So, you know, that's 3 months versus 2 on the Hutton side, but I think this is kind of an iterative process, not a firm timeline. We really just need to be wrapping things up in Q4. And if we're not advertising until, you know, after the holiday, I think that's fine too. The firms that we have had discussions with, because there is interest about this project now it's on the street, they all have expressed great appreciation that there's a 12-month window for the full design next year. So we'll want to try to start that as soon as we can in 2027. Chief and I have been touring police stations. We just went and looked at a new one a couple weeks ago. He's looked at more than I have. I've looked at 2. We have a couple others we're going to go visit as well. We're trying to find all the cost efficiencies, trying to figure out what the budget can be and should be, and then you know, just trying to continue gaining more information so we can provide you guys with everything you need to make well-informed decisions as we move forward on this.
I guess one thing I'd like to add is just I appreciate you guys just digging into this and getting on it. it's not something we really wanna rush, but it's something we don't wanna put off either, so appreciate you taking the time to dig into this, do the research, and then look at the phased approach, just to be smart with how we spend our dollars, so just excited to get this ball rolling.
Any other comments? It's a good time to be a Goddardite. I think we're moving in the right direction with this. This is something that, for the number of staff we have on the police side, the small area that they're working in, it really puts a burden and kind of makes it a little more difficult to operate. I mean, even trying to move people up and down the hallways at times, I've heard some stories that aren't pleasant for the other part of their staff, so, something that's long overdue for our community, so.
I'll make a motion to move to select Hutton Design and Build in partnership with Goldberg Group Architects to perform additional preliminary programming and concept refinement services for the planned Goddard Justice Center for a fixed fee of $9,500 and authorize the city manager to execute the necessary agreement.
I second.
Lori's made the motion, Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Can we get it, is that both steps, 1 and 2?
Are you gonna read the next one?
Yeah, why not?
I'll also make a motion to move to approve the proposal from McGrath Consulting Group to conduct the police current and future staffing and Justice Center phase study for $15,470 plus actual travel expenses and authorize city manager to execute the necessary agreements.
Cory made the motion, Naomi seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Craig. Deputy City Manager there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Let's talk traffic. All right, so one of the areas that the city is in charge of is, of course, making sure that we are allowing for the safe movement of pedestrians and traffic and vehicles. And one of, as I'm sure you are aware, one of our most dangerous intersections in town is the intersection of 54 Kellogg and 199th Street, or Goddard Road. We are, to that end, last year the city partnered with KDOT, Kansas Department of Transportation, to conduct a TEEP study of this intersection that will identify long-term solutions to this intersection in terms of configuration of the various roadways that connect at this intersection, potential long-term options and solutions. We are still waiting the results of that TEEP study, but in the interim, city staff has worked with our engineer, Harlan Foraker, with CED on creating potential options on how we can address these issues now, rather than waiting for the TEEP study and potential long-term solutions that could be built into the 10-year CIP that may take a while in order to implement and to improve the intersection. So to that end, we looked at primarily the southwest corner of this intersection. Emprise Bank sits on this intersection, and there's a private drive, 2 private drives on the west side of that right-of-way of 199. We looked at multiple options, and the option that we are recommending that city staff move forward with, and again, this is all in the staff report, is the creation of a traffic island, which you see here. I have a few different exhibits in here, so you see, this is a very crude, there are other better drawings, but the traffic islands would be constructed here at this private drive on the north side, to the northeast of Emprise Bank. We have consulted with Emprise Bank as well as the tenants of this building. To this end, Emprise Bank has agreed that if we put in the traffic island, that they would be willing to put in a gate that would be locked. They'll prevent traffic from going on the west side of the building. In conjunction with the gate, city has offered to put up temporary concrete barriers to completely block this off. That way, if traffic is trying to get around the building, that it can't go in here and say, oh, there's a gate, I gotta turn around. That prevents any movement to the west of the building. So with this, this is the rendering. Again, these documents are in the staff report. But this is the rendering done by Harlan with CD. This is a more technical drawing of the proposed traffic island. What this does is you'll see that this prevents movement as you're going, so this is north. So if you're going eastbound, this means that if you're going eastbound on this private drive, you are only allowed to turn right or southbound off of this private drive. The island would be constructed, this blue line here is the edge of right-of-way. So the island would be constructed within the city's designated right-of-way. And we did look, like I said, we did look at potential options as to what we could do in the short term. Our initial thought was we would love to just completely close off this northern entrance. And then what prevents that is, you'll see here, there is a private easement. This is an ingress-egress easement that was made between the Emprise Bank property and the properties to the west. Legal counsel, upon review of this, said, there could be the potential that this would be considered a taking, which could lead to litigation, and we do not want to have to deal with any litigation. We want to keep our partners happy, and that's why we agreed upon this traffic island. So you'll see the traffic island here, as well as some additional signage that will be placed strategically at this intersection to help drivers find their way, which leads us to this next slide. All right, so we're going to go on a journey, and this journey is centered on possessing a Big Mac. It's got a hankering for a Big Mac. Love that special sauce. So how do you get to and from McDonald's in negotiating this intersection? With the creation of the traffic island, for people that are traveling westbound on Kellogg, they can still make a turn here, come down, and then turn right or west and get to McDonald's, go to the drive-thru, get the Big Mac. And the goal is that traffic will eventually learn that instead of turning right or east, that they turn west. This is Cedar, and take Cedar and then turn right back to Kellogg. Again, the same thing would be for Pizza Hut, Taco Bell. So that would be from off of Kellogg. So if people then are traveling on eastbound Kellogg, they can still make that right-hand or southbound turn and then turn in, again, negotiating the island, and come to any of the businesses located here on south of Kellogg. For southbound traffic coming southbound on Goddard Road or 199th, they can still make that right-hand turn and visit any of these businesses here. For northbound traffic, they would need to use, in a sense, a left-hand turn or a westbound movement would no longer be allowed. They would need to use this south entrance, go around the ATM, and they can still turn left at this point and access any of these businesses, again with the hope that traffic, and of course it takes a while for people for drivers to negotiate new traffic patterns, but people are pretty intelligent, at least I would hope so. And they will learn to, instead of turning right, if they do need to get back to Kellogg, they can turn left, go to Cedar, and then get back onto Kellogg that way. For westbound traffic on the east side, they will no longer be, when they come to this stop sign, they will have to turn either left or right. They will no longer be allowed to make it across. The same thing for northbound traffic on 199th, they would no longer be able to turn in this direction. They would need to go up to Kellogg around or find an alternate route in order to visit any of these businesses. Or of course they can turn here and get that way as well. So city staff feels that there are still multiple options for people to visit the businesses that are in this section of the community south of Kellogg. But again, the main emphasis of making this traffic island is to improve this intersection, hopefully reduce the number of traffic accidents that we're seeing currently at this time with the vehicular traffic. And then of course, once we do receive the results of the team study, be able to implement those long-term solutions when we do have that. So financial, this would be funded from the Special Highway and Street Fund, utilizing the $250,000 annual street capital improvements allocation, included in adoption of the 2026 budget. And again, this has been reviewed by both our engineering team and our legal as well. So the recommendation that we're asking council tonight is to approve the traffic island design as presented, allow staff to continue to move forward. We're not sure at this point if this will be handled in-house by public works staff or if this will be contracted out to a third-party vendor. We'll vet that process and be, of course, wise stewards of the taxpayer dollars in making this improvement to this intersection. Stand for any questions.
Mayor, can I add a couple things to Ryan's comments?
Please do.
I think we have to continue reconciling with the fact that while we have the TEAP study, it's going to be a handful of years before capital improvements are done there, because it's difficult to get those KDOT access management dollars. It's a year of engineering ahead of that, so it's going to be some time. I think that's important to know. One other thing on the financial, I want to make clear, it doesn't cost $250,000. It's going to cost maybe a few $1,000s. Every once in a while, Public Works will let a few small concrete projects kind of wait in the queue. That way we can justify bringing a truck of concrete out I can think of a couple other spots where we need concrete, so this pedestrian island's not that big. So you're talking about the cost to put that in and a few signs and some pavement markings. So, just wanna make clear, it's not a $250,000 project, we're just paying for it out of the same pot of funds where it's really the 1.25 million, $1 million of that is the 5 and 5 program. Technically, we set aside $250,000 for maintenance type projects, and this would qualify for that.
I do have a question, and it's something I thought about kind of as we chatted about this originally. But we're talking about putting a gate on the other side of Enterprise, and so theoretically, people are gonna try to take the quickest shortcut around. They're not gonna go all the way down to Cedar if they're coming from 199. I do have a little bit of a concern that they're gonna come in that other 199th entrance, and we're gonna bottleneck this area, and we're gonna move those traffic accidents from one to the other, because if they're coming in the bottom side and people are leaving the bank or wherever to take a right, we're gonna kind of see those same issues. They're just gonna be inside the parking lot. Is that something that's been thought about?
I would defer to Harlan if he had any comments to that.
I'll be honest with you, no.
Okay. I think just looking at the map again, that's kind of my only, and I think eventually people are gonna start deterring to Cedar, but
If you're coming from the south, it's not like you're going out of your way to get to these businesses to go to Main Street and up. You know, and there's a couple other options that you could take to get to Cedar too without even going, even traveling most of Main Street if that's what you're trying to avoid.
yeah, I'm just thinking more of what people will do. Like coming from 199th, I think the quick thought process would be to just take the other entrance versus taking a right and going over to Cedar and fighting that traffic, so.
And that might happen, but again, they might learn like, oh, this really isn't convenient. I want to go a different direction.
Or maybe just making sure also, because I've been guilty of it a time or two, like, you know, you leave the bank and you kind of cut down that side so you can get out the back side of the 199th there, and so maybe just a sign that says like one way, or, cause that would be my other thing, is somebody trying to come down to that other exit when someone's coming in. If you have anyone at the ATM, it's a 1 lane space, so. Yeah, just something that says like one way. I don't know who that falls on, but.
We can talk with Enterprise about that. Ryan may have mentioned that and I missed this, but they've been very supportive of this.
They have,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
We've had multiple meetings with them to bounce off ideas, and they've been very, like I said, they actually volunteered the gate all on their own. So,
And it's a great idea because there's a business right there on the corner.
Mhm.
When people are cruising through, they could really.
Applied on that backside too, yeah.
yes.
I think it solves the biggest problem, which is people trying to shoot across to that frontage road.
And all those accidents.
And because there's people trying to get through that stoplight,
Yes.
and what you're really,
Yeah.
like the bigger
Preventing
problem
this movement here eastbound
Yes.
across the road.
Cause it's, nobody ever knows what to do. I don't even ever know what to do when I'm sitting there and there's people trying to get through the light, and then people are trying to go through that frontage road, and it's just it's a train wreck. So I think it makes it ultimately, like, if people go in the bank, like, okay, because what we're really gonna make it much safer trying to get through that intersection. So I don't like it personally.
I mean, it's a temporary effort to solve a problem that is started 30 years ago. When I first moved to Goddard, we worked out there in that building. Became a bank. It's a repossessed piece of property, and the only thing really west of there, really couldn't drive through there, but you had Gerard's, and as that developed, that parking lot has been used as a street. I think it's important we remind our citizenry that that is not a street, that's a parking lot of a business. And I appreciate Enterprise or their willingness to work with our staff, and they hear and see the accidents as they're occurring in that intersection. So appreciate the staff's efforts that they're making to try to temper and slow down the traffic, and You know, if we can eliminate 2 or 3 accidents a year, and it's been well worth the time and effort of what we're doing, I think, so.
And I'm sure that we're gonna advertise that on our social media pages and everything, making people aware of these changes and.
Absolutely, and
You've been really great about doing that kind of stuff, so we'll definitely make.
And we've
it
ensured Enterprise Bank that they will have plenty of notice of once we have a construction timeline moving forward, what that looks like, and how that will impact their property as well. Definitely.
And it is also frustrating that it's taken so long for the TEEP study to be finished.
Wasn't it supposed to be back already?
Last year, no, not that.
End of April.
End of April, but it puts us in a situation where, you know, we could be spending some money, not a lot, and then do something totally different. And, I just want people to understand that I don't like seeing things built and then torn out in a short period of time, but this could be one of those situations. But I think we're trying to do our due diligence, and maybe what we're doing here will fit in with what their plan is too, so we can always hope for that. It's just a bad place to be driving through.
It is, yes.
I think everybody tries to avoid it as much as they can. Everybody good? I'm good.
I make a motion to approve the proposed traffic island design and associated signage to be constructed east of Enterprise Bank, and allow city staff to collect bids for this project.
Second.
Chris has made the motion, Corey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is item I-5. So this is a quick background on I-5. You guys are kind of aware of this. We discussed this during a special meeting, but this kind of goes into design standards, amenities, ratios as it pertains to new development. If they're asking for rezoning, it doesn't apply to any existing developments that have already gone through entitlements. But this background, as you can see, is being presented. That on May 11th, we had a Planning Commission City Council joint meeting. We met with the Wichita Area Builders Association, and they spoke on June 15th, and then we met with them again on June 23rd. Spoke with Travis Whistler Holmes as representative of WABA, discussed changes and ideas introduced. After meeting Travis Whistler, city staff drafted a memo outlining everything that was discussed. We presented it on July 1st, and after discussing, we modified it, and that's what's being presented today. I will say that there was a question about the sound separation and the common wall for 2-family, 3-family, and 4-family, because the way the resolution was drafted, that if there was a provision in there that a developer didn't like and they wanted to bring it to full council, council has the ability to remove that provision, and that provision could potentially be that sound separation for a common wall. And knowing that that common wall language is already included on agenda item I-7, which is coming up, we decided to remove that paragraph because we don't want it to be an option that people can just arbitrarily take out. And also it would show it as being redundant, knowing that we're already going to have that in our city code, and then you're going to have it in the resolution. It didn't really make sense, and so we decided to remove that provision. So you will not see that in this new resolution, but all the rest of it is generally stayed consistent with what we discussed on the July 1st meeting. So we're just going to move forward, ideally. So you're adopting a resolution to impose certain restrictions on rezoning applications for duplexes that are deemed prudent to do so on a case-by-case basis. So as discussed, this would be for new applications for rezoning on particular land. We call them greenfields, and we have raw land, and a developer buys that, and they want to go through rezoning and entitlements. You guys would see it, and you have that opportunity to then impose these restrictions and say, hey, we would like these deed restrictions to be imposed on this land moving forward and into the future. And you also have that ability, as I mentioned, to waive the provisions if it's deemed practically imprudent and just impossible for this application to be imposed. Financial and legal considerations resolution was drafted and approved by Ryan Peck, city attorney. It is recommended that City Council approve the resolution recommending the adoption of certain restricted covenant provisions during the consideration of the rezoning agenda item as mentioned. But at this point, we'll open up for questions, comments, anything that you'd like to discuss.
Any comments? You know, I guess I think that we tried to be responsible with this. We slowed the process down. We entertained some of the comments that were made by WABO, and I think we've made some slight changes to this. But one of the things that I think is important that people know is that we are trying to maintain some consistency in terms of some of these things. At some point, sometimes I think maybe we should, the ratio of duplexes to single-family homes should be 70-30. There are people in the community, I think, that believe that we should not build any more duplexes in Goddard. But I think the fact that over the last 2.5 years, we've kind of established a 60-40 is the top end. Being consistent with that going forward, I think, is important. I believe that the market can change, and I know we've had several developers indicate to us that possibly the duplex explosion is about to slow down and stop. But only the market forces that drive that could change this, and 3 or 4 years from now, people won't be building an inordinate amount of duplexes. So the markets can change. But I think we've tried to listen to the input from our community, and there's a certain sense that we want things that are built in our community that are of quality, and we want livable space for life to happen. So pools, a small park, playgrounds, those things are important to the community. I mean, it's not something that we're dictating as a council, but those are things that we are hearing from our community, and that we would hope that development, we've had developers do that. We've got several that have put in amenities into our community, and we are so appreciative of that. And so we just want to ensure as best we can that when people move out here, they're moving into homes that have been quality built, and they can enjoy a quality of life that we all experience living here. So I think that the actions that we're taking, the changes we've made to this, I think are appropriate, and I think we need to approve it. So, any other comments?
I guess you hit on a lot of it, but I'll just follow up by saying
Go ahead.
we're trying to put something in place that we can ensure our citizens that we're not going to allow just all the same military style housing, but yet we understand that builders want to build here, and we need to be flexible. So we've made some adjustments, and we've tried to find some middle ground here so that we can continue to grow, but grow just like the mayor said, in a town that we can be proud of.
I also want to thank the city staff for putting together a special meeting for us to be able to have the open collaboration amongst each other and talk about these things publicly, and for all the entities that participated in the process with us. Hopefully moving forward we'll be able to reconcile some of these things, and Goddard will be better for it.
No, everybody else has already said it, so I won't say it again, but I just really encourage the community to keep letting us know, we really do listen, and I think that we've come to a really great compromise. So I'm just grateful for all the time that you've allowed us to kind of work through all of this. It's a good place.
You good? All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
my apologies. Before you seek a motion, it's my first time seeing this motion. Apologies for that. I want to make sure our city attorney is comfortable with that language before you seek a motion on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for allowing me to ask the question.
It's always good. Measure twice and cut once. Okay.
I make a motion to approve the resolution recommending the adoption of certain restricted covenant provisions during the consideration of a rezoning agenda item.
Second.
We have a motion, and Corey's made a second, Krista made the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next matter.
up again. Did you adjust that?
Of course.
All right. Before you this evening in the agenda packet is the proposed adoption of two documents that many communities throughout the nation have. This is the governing body manual and the code of meeting procedure. Both of these documents have been, city staff has worked with the Wichita State University Public Policy and Management Center, as well as our legal counsel in reviewing these documents. And staff is very excited to present these to council for formal adoption tonight. You all had a chance to review these prior to tonight's meeting. Basically what these do is these provide guidelines and instruction for not only new city council members, but existing city council members on what the role of city council is, how votes are taken, how public engagement happens during a city council meeting. And it is a great tool guide for both new and existing and current city council members. Again, these have been reviewed by city staff in consultation with our legal counsel. But again, just to point a couple of items from the agenda report again, the governing body manual will replace the handbook that's published by the League of Kansas Municipalities. So this makes it a more Goddard-specific or a Goddard-centric document, which is nice, good for us to have. Again, similar with the code of meeting procedure, this will help us to help provide documentation and guidelines on how to efficiently run a city council meeting, how the public is allowed to engage with city council, how votes are taken, and again, just further elevates the professional status and conduct of the city council. So once these are adopted, we will be publishing this on the city's website and then share them with the public as seen fit. Again, this has been reviewed by our legal counsel, and the recommendation is to adopt both of these documents as presented in the staff report.
Questions, comments?
I appreciated this very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks for putting it together.
Absolutely.
It's a way to establish some formality and consistency in the way that meetings are adopted. I mean, obviously they're guidelines, so you can always deviate from it, but the whole idea is to try and be consistent in the way that you're conducting the meetings. And, you know, as we saw earlier, when residents are wanting to engage you all during either citizen comments or during a public hearing, I certainly understand the desire to engage with them and have that interactive dialogue. But the problem is you can't pick and choose when you do that. Otherwise, you're making those choices based on the content of speech. We just can't do that. So.
It's a good reminder. Appreciate that.
You guys do a good job.
I make a motion to adopt the governing body manual and code of meeting procedure documents as presented.
Aaron's made the motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Corey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Community Development Director, batting cleanup this evening.
This is I-7, so this is the sound separation ordinance. You guys have seen this one before. We just adjusted it a little bit. But basically, it has to do with 2-family, 3-family, and 4-family structures. When you have a common wall, kind of like we talked about a little bit with I-5. We have already adopted one of these, and I'm just going to jump ahead because the graphic really does the most language speaking for it. But basically, in the past, we said at the previous one that you can't do a single stud, you couldn't do a single stud 2x6, but you could do a staggered stud and a double stud. Well, we determined after looking at the STC and some of the language that we felt a double stud would just be our new minimum standard, because the difference between the staggered stud and the double stud increased that sound buffering by a significant amount. And we felt that after speaking with Andrew Naughton, our new building inspector, that a lot of builders were already now starting to do that, having a 2 double stud common wall with a 1-inch air gap and batten, as he calls it, batten or insulation. And that standard should be the new minimum standard, since it's going to be such a prevalent concern that a lot of people have raised about having that sound separation, that this would be our new minimum standard. So this new ordinance we're asking is going to waive the reading like normal and then approve it, and it would be repealing and replacing the previous one that was adopted, setting the new double wall with the air gap as the minimum standard. Is there any questions related to that?
No questions, but I appreciate the staff taking the time to look into this, because I know I challenged this a little bit early on with the original version. And, I think this makes a lot more sense, because it's one thing we've heard a lot from the renters in the area, and so it's something we really wanted to get right.
We've heard a lot of positive feedback about that last one, and just that we can barely hear anything on the other side, if anything. So if that was a major concern, this new standard should help mitigate that.
Very good. Any other comments? If I was on the other side of the wall, I wouldn't be able to hear you guys. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of ordinance.
A second?
Moved and second to waive the reading of the ordinance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next step of the dance.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance repealing and replacing the previous sound separation standard as supplemental construction code.
And a second.
Corey's made the motion, Krista seconds, roll call.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard,
Yes.
ordinance 1050.
1050.
Thank you very much.
5-0. Thank you, Mike, I appreciate it. Item J. City manager, you have a report on us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity to give you and our honorable council a few updates on operations projects and some future agenda items that we have coming up. Quick note, we have a special city council meeting this Thursday, July 9th at 6 p.m. for budget workshop number 3. I mentioned that even further in the next paragraph, so make sure you're here to discuss the water utilities and sewer utility and stormwater utility funds, as well as the reserve funds for water and sewer, and then also the tourism and promotion fund. We'll have budget workshop number 4 on Wednesday, July 22nd at 6 p.m. to discuss the capital improvement fund, equipment reserve funds, and our remaining smaller funds that we kind of bunched together into one presentation.
And we've been given this lovely handout by our CFO.
Yes.
There'll be a test taken at 5:30 before the meeting to make sure we've read it.
We also have a really big day coming up for the Guiding Goddard Comprehensive Plan. So if conversations like this evening as it relates to design standards and land use and building types are of interest to you, now's your time to shine. I greatly appreciate all the community coming out to our much anticipated public open house visioning work session from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on July 16th. There's a couple other meetings that City Council and Planning Commission and city leadership will need to be at earlier that day. So make sure you got that on your calendar. The 16th is going to be a really busy time for the comp plan. Looking for a little direction from the dais on this one, the council chamber AV upgrade plan, got some costs in there for you. Is this something that you guys would like us to prepare to bring to you in an upcoming city council meeting, or would you like us to put this on the fiscal year 2027 budget? And you guys want to take a couple of minutes to talk about that? If you don't want to, that's fine. We can bring it up another evening, but just kind of looking for some consensus, and maybe you can, if you want some more time to think about it, you can bring that to us at the workshop on Thursday evening.
Why don't we
Let's do that.
do that?
Okay,
Get a chance to think about it.
that'd be good.
Talk about it Thursday, would be probably better make a quick decision.
Perfect, thank you for that.
I will say real quick on this though, I did watch some of the Derby ones that you sent some links on, the other councils that use them for their meetings.
Yeah.
And it is pretty impressive, so, I mean, I look forward to discussing it at the budget meeting, but just wanted to mention that.
And the numbers in 6 months are gonna be more,
Could be.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
those types of materials seem to really react to the inflationary environment, so.
I think Thursday's perfect.
I'm already envisioning, like, the beginning of a sitcom like Friends or something. We can put that out for our meeting. Sorry, Derby does something like that. I know they need to work their magic. The Strategic Growth Overlay District, so this item will include a public hearing and a recommendation for approval at the Monday, August 10th Planning Commission meeting. Mike will be sending out notices, through the Times Sentinel newspaper to give the community notice of that, and we'll continue to bring it up all the way up until the hearing. So folks that are tuned in will have an opportunity to provide comment at that time. Council would consider final approval at the Monday, August 17th City Council meeting. Just to reiterate, this overlay would provide a signal to property owners and developers that if land within this area is annexed into Goddard from the unincorporated county, the city is generally open to considering a broader range of residential densities with the appropriate design standards. Public Works Facility, you guys have probably seen a lot of progress out there. The main frame is nearing completion. The garage doors are being hung and cross braces are being installed in preparation for siding. Legacy Bank Park's looking a lot different these days. Contractor is getting pretty close to completing site clearing, tree debris removal, and they're really getting into the pond area vegetation stripping this week. Prep for the pickleball and dog park area is coming along. And then you might also notice they brought the pavilion site pad up to grade, and compaction testing will occur on that next week. So really impressed with their progress in spite of the rain event we had. Hawkins Lane, it's getting pretty close to being done out there. They'll be bringing the plantings online soon. We've had to deal with a few hiccups with the well and getting the irrigation lines pressure tested and those things, but that's all done. The trees are looking good. They've got the monument sign in, it's lit, so get the plantings in, and hopefully sometime soon we'll have the monument at the end of the roundabout there. Water looping project, the contractor started potholing work to identify the existing utilities. Pipe installations and wet tapping have started. You may have noticed some open trenching started on Oak Street for that water line, and our city staff on our internal project is continuing to make really great progress on Spruce Street. We heard from Ms. Giesemann this evening on progress for our 2026 roadway project. So KDOT has also been out doing their part with replacing the stormwater pipe on the North Frontage Road access point. So we'll see new pavement coming in the top of that soon. I really think that some of the new development and maintenance and things that council supported has made a huge difference in our stormwater utility system. It's just night and day from what it was 5 years ago, the way water's moving. And a lot of it has to do with the new development, but also because of some of the maintenance dollars and improvements that you guys have supported. So thank you for that. We have the Trails End 3rd edition. The sanitary sewer and water mains are complete. Bid has been awarded as of this evening for the stormwater system and paving. We should have a pre-construction conference scheduled soon. We had the Rachel Brook Estates stormwater system and paving pre-construction conference last week, so work should start out there soon. Villas at Pleasant Ridge Creek, the contractor is continuing the stormwater system work. More issues with dewatering out there, just as there has been with other aspects of that project, so they're working through that. Willows Ridge, continuing to progress on the sanitary sewer and water distribution work, and done some backfilling of the water lines, and of course, short week last week. Sanitary sewer backup on Main Street, so this kind of came in over the last few days. Our staff, Public Works crew, identified a sanitary sewer issue on Main Street near the library. We did some televising, and there's been a bunch of cleaning going on, and we found significant debris and deteriorating clay pipe conditions. So luckily we've got funds budgeted for some sewer main relining projects, and you know, we were having a little bit of a hard time figuring out which ones we wanted to do this year. So now God provided that answer for us. It's possible that I may authorize an emergency expenditure sometime between now and the next council meeting per the financial policy. If I do that, I'll make you guys aware of it as soon as it occurs, and we can have a discussion about it if you'd like. But based on some of the information that's rolled in today, it probably doesn't make sense to delay that relining if we can go ahead and get them out there and take care of it. And we have ample reserve, as you've seen in sewer, plus we've budgeted operating dollars specifically for relining, and I don't anticipate it to be an exorbitant cost to get that fixed. But it is a very important part of the sewer collection system, because as was shared with me today, it's one of the mains that carries all the waste from Old Town to the treatment plant. So we want to make sure that one's in good operating condition. Bridgery Maple Phase 2, paving will begin soon. Chief and myself and one of our teammates with Morris Lang, Shelley Woodard, City Attorney, we've been working on a micromobility device ordinance. As Mayor knows from his chair position at Reeve, this is a conversation going on in several of our peer community, so we're all kind of looking to see who's gonna take care of this first, with an ordinance. We're working off some that already exist, so we're not recreating the wheel here, but we've heard some citizen comments before. All of us are driving around town, we see it starting to become more dangerous, so we wanna address that. We had a low bid award for the 167 to 23rd Street sanitary sewer lift station and force main. Really hoping for a pre-construction conference to get on the books soon, since we've issued 13 building permits for that project. I drove it this weekend and no building has started. So instructed the staff to keep pushing, because we don't want to get into any consternation here in about 6 months as homes are ready to be certified for occupancy and this project is winding down. So we'll keep you guys informed on that front. A few upcoming agenda items, I won't get into them in great detail, but if you have any questions about them, please let me know. Mr. Mayor, I'd be glad to take any questions from the council at this time.
I know I did hear some concern from some grandchildren about the high dive at the pool being blocked off. So apparently there's some safety issues there. So that's the only thing I've heard from community over the weekend. So.
We will look into that tomorrow. Someone must just be scared to go off. They've just been standing there for a couple days.
Yeah,
we'll talk them down.
Grandchild number 7 probably got the safety tape out and wrapped it up. She doesn't want to do it. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, let's wrap this up here. We have opportunity for comments. We'll start from the left and go to the right.
I don't have a lot. Thanks for always coming and saying hi. Karen, they're just always here representing, so thank you. And thanks for the good words about APAC, so I appreciate that. And really, other than that, I really loved like that the school district was here and that we recognized Brandon and Riley and Dane. Everybody does such a great job with Neighbors United and Danny. Such a great event, so that was just all the feel goods for the night. So other than that, thanks for staff. You guys are busy, so thank you all for doing all of this work. I look over there and I don't see one of you that's not like just going at 100 miles an hour all the time. So thank you for all your hard work and all that you do to make our city awesome.
Same. Neighbors United is a really big thing in our community, and it's awesome that we have great leadership and that it's continually being poured into. I'd also like to welcome Christy Smith. I was excited to see her on the library board, and she's going to be a great addition. I know her personally, and I'm just excited about that. I appreciate everyone who came out for the public hearing, and Tara Burkhart bringing her perspective from Colorado and the way things are done there versus the way things are done here. I don't know that we can do much about how this information is expressed to new people coming into our community, but it's worth noting that some of these things were not disclosed. I don't know what we can do about that going forward, if anything, but that's all I'll say about it.
That's hard. You're next, ma'am.
Echoing the sentiment for Neighbors United and Brandon and Riley and just all that they did this year to make that happen and to make the day go, I'd say, pretty flawlessly for some of the things that were thrown at them. So I had a really great 4th of July, and so I just want to, like, our entire neighborhood came out, and everybody's mortgage payments were sitting out front, but it was just a really good it was just a really good way to see the entire community come together. You know, all the neighbors congregated, and for me, that's kind of what being in Goddard is all about. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, lots of exciting things coming and just community things happening. So.
I just want to start by saying, Linda, I appreciate you coming up and giving us just some good citizen comments and good feedback, because we don't always get to hear the good things from the citizens. So I really appreciate that, and I'm glad to hear that APAC has been good to work with. Again, I'll echo the Neighbors United. That was really cool seeing them get the presentation. It's been 10 years of been a big impact on the community. I hope it goes on for generations more. I also just want to thank everyone that came out to the Lions Club 4th of July celebration with the support from the city. I think that's one of the cooler things that we put on as a city, and just being out there, seeing all of our citizens and community come together to celebrate. It's really a special event. So I just hope we continue to do that. It's part of what makes Goddard, I think. Also, staff, I know y'all are busy, and I know it was a big effort getting this two-family resolution passed, but I'm glad we did it, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it. I know maybe not everything will go smoothly, but at least we have something in place, and we have a starting point to work from, so I just hope that everything goes well from here. If not, we'll work through it together as a team. So that's all I got.
Very good. I just would mention that we're starting the second half of the year. When I teach a little Sunday school class in the corner of the board, we keep track of how many days till Christmas. So officially, as of today, there's 172 days until Christmas. I'm not the only one that tracks those things. Time marches on. And I appreciate all the efforts of the staff. Danny, I just appreciate the way you continue to impress, to grow in the role that you've had. You took over something that was running okay, and you've made it really special. And I so appreciate Dane and his efforts over time. I think there's some other people in the community that have carried that ball to this point, but things just continue to get better. We just continue to do the right things and do them the right way. This will be an awesome community. So we just keep pressing on, and I appreciate everybody's efforts, and God bless America. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Nobody wants to adjourn. Amanda made the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is over. Thank you all for your help.
You did?